Hey gang, it's David again, back to you with the third part in our My Website Redesign mini series, in which I would like to create this like About Me subsection, this links kind of a subsection right here, and also these cards with these custom icons and some pieces of text. So if that's something that you're interested in, just keep watching. So I'm going to go ahead I'm going to edit the home page. So I'm going to just edit it with Oxygen. So in here, I got some leftovers from my previous design. So this is this section right here that we won't be needing. So basically, let me just consult my design. So what we want is this About Me link right here. So I'm just going to, let's just add a section. And inside, I'm going to add a heading. That's going to be an H2, and I'm just going to paste that text in. So of course, this section needs the right background. So again, I'm going to go to Advanced, Background, and to the Gradient, and I'm just going to add two colors again. So this guy like that, and a white color, and the angle needs to be set to 90. And I believe that this was 70%, but I don't think I'm sure. 70%, and this is going to be 30. So I guess it was 60. There we go. So let's keep things consistent. Let's do this, set this to 40. So let's hide these guys. Let's see what it looks like. It looks all right. So next I'm gonna just borrow this piece of text, but I think that I'm going to first copy and paste it here inside the notepad, because you know when you just copy and paste from Word or some other design piece of software, Oxygen tends to just kind of like preserve that font size, font weight, all those things, and I don't want that because it creates a lot of problems. So I'm just going to add the text, and I'm going to simply paste that in. And I think that this guy is a bit bigger, and it has this font weight set to medium. So maybe I'll just give it a class. I'm gonna do something like font M, and let's do like 22. So font is gonna be set to medium, and the size is gonna be set to 2. So I'm just gonna go 22, and the font weight is gonna be like 700, I think. Well, maybe that's a bit too much, so let's do like 500. And next I'm just going to borrow this piece of text, and I'm just gonna add another piece of text, and I'm just going to paste that in as is. So maybe I'm gonna add our margin bottom S. Let's see, maybe a bigger one. So I'm gonna delete that margin, and let's do margin bottom M. That should be a bit better. This guy's gonna have this margin bottom S like that. Well, I guess we could wrap it with a diff, or we could simply change the size of both of these elements. But I think that, yeah, I guess we can wrap them with the diff. I think it's gonna be a bit easier to work with when we play around with the responsiveness. So I'm just going to wrap this guy with a diff, and this guy is gonna go inside. And now I'm just going to maybe change the size to something like 50, or maybe let's do like 55. And as we go, I think that we should already, check the responsiveness. So let's do like page container 112, 992. It still looks okay. 768. I think that at 768, maybe we could, let's leave this kind of like this background division. But I'm gonna set the size of our div to 100%, and let's just see what it's gonna look like. It's gonna be something like this. It kind of looks all right. I'm gonna go to 480. Maybe we could change the size, the text size just a little bit, like of this guy right here. So for this font medium 22, let's set the font size at like at 768 to something like maybe 20. Maybe this is going to be just a bit better, but it's still going to be like a bit more distinctive in relation to this bottom part. I think this should be all right. So next up, we got this bar right here, and we got these custom links but you know, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna include like the offer just yet. I think I'm gonna have to work on my offer, you know, a bit. So I'm gonna include it maybe a bit later. But the courses, portfolio, contact, I think I'm gonna leave these guys in. So let's go to our page, and I'm gonna add. Let me just see what it looks like. So it kind of like spans, not across the whole site, but like since this was 60%, like 70%. We'll just see in just a second. So I'm gonna add a div. And let's set the width to 70%. So let's see, 70% should be all right. And as I go, I'm gonna add the margin bottom S to maybe let's do bottom M. Maybe that's gonna be a bit better. Margin bottom M. And this guy's background needs to be set to our main red color, like that. And I'm just gonna add some padding to it, like 20 pixels all around. I think that this should be enough. And inside I'm gonna add some like text links. So text link, and I'm gonna add a class to it. Let's just do offer like link, something like that. And I'm gonna change the text color. Let's do our like just white color, like that. As I said, I'm not going to do the offer, but I'm going to do courses. But before that, I'm going to go to typography, and I want to do the uppercase. And you know what? Maybe let's do some like letter spacing, something like 1 pixel, just to, you know, since we are removing one link, maybe let's just do it a bit like wider. And so I'm going to go to primary, and this is going to be like courses, and I'm just going to duplicate this guy. And the next one was portfolio, so let's type that in. So portfolio, and the last one was, I think it was contact. The last one was contact. And now I'm gonna grab the div, and I'm just going to make sure that the elements are laid out horizontally, like that. And let's see, like, space around, and let's see here. Now I think they're supposed to be put to the left, but we need like quite a lot of margin on the right. So let's do like I don't know, like 100 maybe, or maybe 75. 75 should be okay. So I guess the last thing to do here would be to add the links, but also in terms of like stylizing this, I want to add like this underline thing. That we can see right here. Maybe if I just zoom in, you can see that there's like this underline, text underline thing going on here. So when we do like on this class, when you do hover, I want to go to typography, and I want to do like text decoration underline. So if we hover over this guy, we get this decoration. Okay, so I guess the last thing that I would need to do here is to just add the links. So this one is courses. So I'm gonna try to find that page here. So this is this guy right there. Then the portfolio. Again, I'm gonna try to find it somewhere here. And there we go. And then I'm gonna add the contact. And there we go. And add the link. Next up, we would simply have to check what it's gonna look like on our like mobile devices. But I think that also we could maybe just make it just a bit like bigger, like nicer. So I'm just going to add more padding to top and bottom, but like 50 might be a bit too much. Let's do like 32. 32 should be all right. So when we hover, we got this underline effect, and I'm gonna hide this guy. And does it look somewhat like our original? I think it does. Let me just maybe put it somewhere here. Maybe I need some more padding. So let's do maybe like 32 all around. This should be a bit better. So according to our design, now we need all these elements. So I'm on Affinity Designer, so it's gonna be quite easy for me to do. I could do the slices, but that might be too tedious because I cut a lot of elements right here. So I'm just going to do it like manually. I'm just gonna grab it one by one, go to my PNG, use like selection only, and do export. So I'm gonna find my images, and that's gonna be my web dev. Then it's going to be the online courses. So I'm going to do the same, PNG, selection only, and web. Oh no, it's going to be courses. So courses. So next up is, let's just do design. I'm going to go with selection only, and let's do design. There we go. And logo design. That's going to be the last one. So I'm going to go to selection only. I'm just going to do logo like that. So I'm going to start this next bit first by maybe getting consistent with the margins. So I'm going to grab this div and I'm going to just add a margin bottom like M, which is 50 pixels. So now if I just, maybe I'm just going to grab the section and I'm going to add a div. So now that these margins are kind of consistent. So inside this div, first I'm going to just create another div that's going to be hosting all of these elements, and later on I'm going to decide if I want to do the grid or if I'm going to just play around with some other positioning. I haven't decided yet, but we definitely need to add an image first. So I'm just going to upload that. That's my other project, so let me just try to find that. It's going to be here. I guess I'm going to upload all of them. So I think it was this one. So I'm just going to select that image and I'm going to see if that's in the right div. So I'm going to wrap this guy with a div as well. And now below the image, we need a heading. And it said web dev, and I think that it can have the same class. So it was like title heading, H title, something like that. And below that, I'm going to add some text. And for now, I just have some simple lorem ipsum. So you know what? I'm just going to copy this lorem ipsum for now. I'm gonna come up with something later. Maybe I'm gonna put an enter somewhere here, just so it's just a bit smaller. And maybe I'm just gonna add a margin bottom, maybe like S. And same is gonna go for this. Or maybe the H title had some margin. No, I don't think so. So I'm gonna go margin bottom S as well, and this basically would be my first card, so to speak. So I'm just going to clone this guy, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to go to my ID. I'm going to change this icon. I think it's this one, and it's supposed to say courses. There we go. And again, I'm going to clone this guy. And this one is going to be our design, so I think it was this one. So this one is going to say UI, UX design. And lastly, this one is going to be, I think, logo design. It's going to be this one. And I'm just going to change this bit of text to logo design. And I'm going to click done and save. So let's see what it looks like. It should look all right. I'm going to leave these guys as they are right now. We can always change the size of these icons if you want to. Maybe we're going to add a separate class to these guys. But the most important thing here is to create, add them inside this, like a grid layout. We could actually maybe try to add the grid. So I think it's this div that's hosting all of these elements. So I'm going to go to grid, and let's see what if we do column count to 2. I guess it looks all right, but let's maybe go to this div and let's do a width of, I don't know, 75%, and let's hide these guys. That's a bit too much. So let's do something like maybe, let's see, again 55. I think we did 55 for this one, so it would be kind of consistent. And let's see, but I think that this is 18 regular. It looks kind of big. Maybe I'm gonna change that later, but right now it kind of looks okay. But maybe in fact I am gonna maybe change the size of these icons. Let's see, I'm gonna do something like services or service icon. There we go. And let's do, right now the height is set to 100 or 101. Let's do 75% of that. Maybe that's going to be a bit better. Let's add that class. And let's add that class. And lastly, let's add this class. And I think that it might look just a bit better. And I might also make these guys like, I'm gonna increase the margin. So let's do like margin bottom L, and let's do the same for this guy. Let's like give them some breathing room right here. Okay, it starts to look like something. Maybe, you know what? Let's maybe make these guys just a bit smaller. I'm also gonna give them a class. So service text, maybe something like that. And I'm gonna decrease the font size to something like 14. Let's do this service text, and this service text, just so maybe this like the section is a bit more like different, distinct. You know, of course we can always change it later. As I said before, I'm gonna change my mind like 50 times, sometimes 50 times a minute. Now I also might want to try to add like a class. Let me see, this is this guy right here. I'm gonna try to maybe like add a class of margin bottom small to this guy, and same goes for this guy. So maybe now it looks just a bit better. I think it does. So I guess the last bit here would be to just check the responsiveness. I'm gonna go to 992. I guess it still looks okay. Let's do 768. 768, it doesn't look all that great. I think that I also would need to change this div right here. So I'm gonna go to my div, and I'm just simply gonna say 100%. I'm gonna set the width to 100% and set everything to vertical and to the center. And each and every one of these guys, they have like a class assigned to it. So that class is telling these guys to have like 75 pixels of margin to the side, and I don't want that. I'm gonna put these guys to the center like this, but I think that this div could use like more padding, at least like top and bottom. Let's see, something like 50. And maybe I'm gonna grab this this link, offer link class, and I'm gonna add like a maybe bottom. Let's see, like our margin bottom like S. That might be a bit too much, so I'm going to leave that. I'm gonna grab the offer link, and I'm gonna add like maybe 10 pixels to the bottom like that. And also at this breakpoint, I think I'm gonna grab this div, so this guy right here, and instead of grid, I'm just gonna say vertical like that, and I'm gonna set the width to 100%. There we go. And yeah, I think that each and every one of these guys can simply, you know, be set to the center like that. And this text at this breakpoint, let's put it to the center as well. So again, this guy, I think I need to log these classes so I don't accidentally just change them. So this guy is I'm gonna set it to the center. This guy, again, to the center. And this last one to the center. And of course, it's gonna look all right also on the smaller devices. So let's see. And I think that just for the sake of consistency, we should also add like this margin bottom class to this guy right here, or we could simply at this breakpoint add that margin. Let me just go to the size and spacing like of 25, just so you know, just so on this breakpoint it looks there's no margin right here, but when we go to 768, that margin is being applied just to this div, and it looks quite all right when it's when it's consistent. It always looks quite all right. You know what? I've just noticed that you know, it looks okay. Like on 992, it looks okay when it's like right here. But I think that this div could be set to 100%. So when we're on this 768 breakpoint, we wouldn't be needing this value right here anymore. So it would look all right, but maybe it would be better to simply like you know, change the colors. So this one is okay, and maybe also let's try to make this div that contains our icons. Let's maybe set it to 100%. Let's see what it's gonna look like. It might look just a bit better when it looks like that. And let's go to 768 again. Now at At 768, I'm not sure if I am a fan of actually this background division. Now when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking that I might change it, and maybe I might have to change like this template as well. But let's see what it's going to look like if I say grab this guy. So let's say that our template at 768, that the background is going to be pink, so this background would have to be white. So this is this section, so you go to background, and I'm going to go to our gradient, and I would add the color. It would be just white, like that. And I think it looks simply, cleaner. I think it simply looks just a bit better. And let's go to 480. And I think that I have to still fix this, which is, well, we're gonna have to fix this background, so it's kind of like also consistent with our bottom right here. So actually, let's do that, because this part is, well, it's actually done. It all looks all right. So I'm just gonna click on this guy. So I just need to remember that at 768. I want to get rid of the colors, right? So I'll get rid of the gradient, and I'm going to have to fix that font. So I'm going to open and edit the template. Yes, open. So I'm going to grab the section, and I'm going to go to 768 and to the background. And for the gradient, I'm just going to add 2 colors, and I think it's this pink right here. And then I'm going to go to 480 because there was something really wrong with this heading. So let's make it significantly smaller, something like maybe 58, and this text needs to be smaller as well. Let's do like 30. So maybe then this guy might be just a bit bigger. Let's do, let's do 58. Now, in order to maybe like play a bit more with this positioning right here, sure, you can have fun with the padding, but we could also just maybe I'm just going to do like 300, but as you can see, not much is changing. But when we go to our size and spacing, and when we go to our height, let's do something like 300 maybe. And as you can see, it changes. So these two guys work in conjunction, because when you go to our old devices, you can see that we set it to 450 at our desktop. So let's try the height to something like 400 maybe. Maybe let's do like 425. Yeah, I know that I know that there's not much of a change here, but I am kind of like that. I just need to, I needed to look exactly how I wanted to look. So yeah, I guess this should be all right. So now I'm just gonna go to my home page, and let's see what it's gonna look like. So when we resize this, it still looks okay. When it hits 992, I think that when it's just like plain white, it's gonna look just a bit better. Of course, later on, when this whole page is finished, I'm just going to do like the proper inspect thing and check what it will look like basically when the site is emulated on a specific smartphone. Let's see, it looks okay. Maybe that icon is a bit too much to the right, but yeah, everything looks okay. We got these links, we got the icons. Yeah, it all looks fine. And for that, I really love Oxygen. How quickly you can create these quite complex maybe designs. So yeah, there we go. We basically have this part complete. Now we would have to go to like this kind of like a custom portfolio part right here. So latest work, and then these elements down here. But let's actually do that in the next part of our mini series. Again, if you like this tutorial, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. And as always, until next time, have a nice design.